Welcome back to the show. Our state senator and Senate Majority Leader, Mike Shirkey. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Bart. Nice to be here again.
Yeah,
Thank
welcome
you.
back.
Welcome to summer. It finally arrived, huh?
It did. Although
like
we've had some really. I think this has been a really nice week.
This has been a great week.
Yeah.
Looks like next 2 weeks might be a little toasty.
Yeah, almost too hot for golf.
Is it ever too hot?
It's never too hot for golf. Mike Shirkey actually was. Can you believe this? Mike Shirkey was in the Rocket Mortgage Classic at Detroit Golf Club a couple weeks ago.
Right.
And we actually have there
The
he is.
inaugural event. That's right. It was a very good time.
You played in the Pro-Am on Wednesday, and I happened to be there that day, and what a fun
It
place.
was fantastic.
There you are.
Fantastic.
You're in the
Oh, you
middle
actually
of
got us out there in the course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who were you paired with?
Harris English was our pro, and man, could that guy hit the ball. Every drive was 320 yards. It was fantastic to watch him play.
Yeah, we followed you around for a couple of holes. Is it intimidating to play with all the crowd plus the pro as part of your group?
Not when you're hitting the ball well, but if you're not hitting the ball well, it's very intimidating. You know,
Were you hitting it well?
that wasn't one of my best days, but,
No.
but we had a good time. We had a good time.
Yeah, if
And
you get a chance to go, it's going to be here 3 more years at least.
Right.
Yeah, it's well worth the trip.
Oh, absolutely. The Detroit Golf Club and all the staff that they trained, they were remarkable. Everybody was on target, smiling, greeting. I mean, they had customer service embedded upon them, and it was very impressive. Very impressive. I never played that course before, by the way, so that was also a nice new experience for me.
Yeah, I had not seen the course before, but you go through some interesting neighborhoods to get there.
Well, the interesting story there, so I'm not going to tell you who I was talking to, but they were the key sponsors and the ones that kind of get the tournament brought to Detroit. Mm-hmm. And we were in my office a few weeks before the golf event, and we were talking about their concern about what you just said, some of the neighborhoods that you have to go through, you know, and whether or not that would be a good impression for visitors. And I says, don't try to hide it. This is part of the renaissance of Michigan and Detroit, and just own it. You know, it is what it is. Don't try to. If you remember when we had the Super Bowl back a few years, they had all kinds of
They put boards up.
fake facades that were painted landscapes on them, and I thought it was just too cheesy. You know. It is what it is, and it's a city that is having to reinvent itself, and so, you know, and they did. They didn't try to hide too much. It was,
and really, it's not bad. I mean, it's not great, but it's a lot better than it was.
right.
Yeah.
Yep. And the police were fantastic. You know, stationed around, directing people, and very friendly. And now anybody that attended left there, I think, with a pretty good impression.
And I think there were several hundred from Jackson just to follow Brian Stewart, who did really well.
He did outstanding.
Yeah.
They ate that. Those pros ate that course up. That course, you know, a couple of those holes they added a lot of tees, but a couple of those holes they added 100 yards
Wow.
to the tee for the pros because they're just technology and their physical conditioning these days. They're just overpowering almost every course. You know,
Yeah.
every old course. The new courses, of course, are accustomed to it. So, yeah, I'm glad. I think it was very successful, and I'm looking forward to it, stepping up the game every year for the next 3 years.
So it's the middle of July, and we still don't have the New Year's budget.
Right, October 1st is our deadline. I'm not nervous about it. The reason why it's not done yet, mostly, is because we're trying to couple something that's very complex, and that is our next level of what I call comprehensive road funding. Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, I wonder if you could poll all your audience and ask them, you know, have they seen enough orange barrels yet? Now, I want you to imagine now, if we double the amount of investment per year, how many additional orange barrels that'll mean on an annual basis. Mm-hmm. So I told you on your show probably 3 years ago, I said the next thing people are going to be complaining about is orange barrels,
right.
And it's starting to become to that point.
Yeah, and really it is. It's for a lot of people it's huge inconvenience. The M60 is an example right now. I feel bad for the people at the Cooper Street interchange, the
Oh, boy.
businesses.
Yeah.
The businesses in Spring Arbor, they're struggling with the
Yep.
places like Hotch's and the Laughlin Slice of Spice. Please patronize these businesses. Takes you a little extra to get there.
They're open.
They
You know,
are.
It's just hard to
Everyone's
get
open.
to. That's
Yeah.
right. But it'll be great when it's done. I don't know if we ever talked about this or not, but the I-94 corridor from Sargent Road to M60, behind the scenes, over the last 6 years, we've been advancing engineering money, design money, and we've taken about almost 12 years out of the lead time of that project. MDOT, we don't talk about it too much, but so we could get it done quicker, and they were great partners in that process. But yeah, you just announced a minute ago that there's going to be now evening partial closures for the next few weeks. But again, that is such a dangerous corridor there with our short entrance ramps and so forth. So, and then that one coming back up from 27 south to 94 east. Whew, and I do that, a couple times a day. So, but it'll be worth it. And before you know it, it'll be over with, and everybody will be smiling because it'll be smooth roads. But yep, that is what is holding up the prosecution of the final budget, is working out the details with my governor on how much can we really raise for additional roads now. And
So we know that we don't want a huge increase in the gas tax. We don't want to raise taxes. We don't want increase in sales tax. But it does look like it's going to require some new revenue. Do you know where this might be coming from yet?
well, if it were only up to me, we would find 2/3 what we need out of our current spending and readjusting some of our cash flows, and then a third or more from additional new revenue. And even though fuel tax is not as sustainable as we'd like it to be, it is the most elegant and the simplest to execute, and it doesn't require you or I to make any adjustments on our usage side. Doesn't require the Treasury to make any adjustments on the collection side. There's been a lot of conversation about taxing transportation services. What do I mean by that? Lyft, Uber, FedEx, UPS, So there are still quite a few things on the table being evaluated, but all of those require both in addition to the tax raised, they require systemic investments to be able to remit the taxes, and they also require the Treasury to expand their headcounts to be able to audit and collect. So that's the reason why it's so complex. It's not an easy calculation.
Well, Julie Alexander and Sarah Leitner, when they were here last, they were saying, both said that there's quite a bit of fat in state government, and they talked about we buy computers way too often, replace computers. And I was looking at the state disposable property auction website, which I think is coming up. A lot of the vehicles only had 30, 40,000 miles on them when they turn them in and buy new.
Right.
That's pretty wasteful.
It's very wasteful. It is also a close first cousin to the downsides. There's upsides also. We've talked about this before on term limits, is because it takes a while to be able to find those occurrences of through legislative oversight. And when we turn people over so quickly, we lose the opportunity to really refine our oversight.
It sounds like term limits might be up on the agenda coming in the next session.
Next couple of years, yep. Obviously, it has to be done by the vote of the people. It's a constitutional change. I'm going to be working hard on it the last 2 years of my term. I believe that we are compromising Michigan's performance with ours. There are plenty of people who disagree with me. There's a fellow running around here with a wooden horse. Have you seen that?
Who?
There's a fellow running around with a big wooden horse on a trailer.
Wooden horse on the trailer. I've seen a picture of it. Yeah.
He was in Jackson this last week. And he and others like him have strong feelings that they have done well, and in certain aspects they probably have. But there's a cost associated with the extreme turnover we have.
Well, some people are of the opinion that legislative staff has more power and influence than the elected officials in Lansing right now.
Well, it's not a completely absurd assertion. In addition to that, the influence of bureaucrats, those that work in government, not for the legislative staff, but for in departments, they really have an upper hand because they know where every trick is. And you got to be very, very good about assessing what somebody tells you and seeing. Asking them yet another question, digging down deep before you truly get to the final answer on things like waste. We spend an enormous amount of money on IT things, and it's not well managed. So there is an infinite demand for oversight, an infinite demand for questioning, infinite demand for why are we doing it that way, and it's a fun. And it is a privilege, but it's exhausting.
What are you up to this summer?
We've talked about this before. Also, Sue and I generally take the whole family, including all the grandkids, on a vacation once a year. So we're about ready to depart to go to the UP. Most of our grandkids have never been to the UP, so we'll be ticking that off their list, and we're going to do a custom tour of the Soo Locks. We're going to do a custom tour of the Mackinac Bridge and some other fun activities that I've been able to arrange by virtue of being this, might as well take advantage of it as long as you're in the role I'm in. So, But I'm really looking forward to the Soo Locks. We're going to get below the surface into the guts of how the locks work and how old they are. See some mechanical equipment that's 70 years old. So I can't wait to do that.
Are you going to get as far north as Marquette?
Yeah, that's about as far as we're going to go. Yeah, we're going to be in a triangle between the Straits, the Sioux, and Pictured Rocks. In that triangle, think about close to the middle of that, up close to Quanman Falls. But we'll get that far west and north to Marquette. But we won't get any further west than that.
Well, it sounds like a fun trip. I've talked to a lot of people who have been to Marquette's downtown. It's going through a resurgence, and it's I guess you got to see it. So I'll be anxious to hear about it.
We'll put that on our list. Yeah, for sure.
Well, hopefully you'll escape the heat if you get that far.
Well, I think I looked at the projections up there. It's going to be 80 during the day and 55 at night, which is perfect. But here it looks like it's going to be close to 90 or a heat index close to 100. So I'm not disappointed. I'm going to miss that.
Well, have a safe trip. Thanks for coming in.
Appreciate that. Yep. Appreciate all you guys do.
Thank you. Our state senator and Senate Majority Leader, Mike Shirkey. Coming